Hi, how are you guys today? You know, it's me, Miss Polly. And if you're new here, we talk about relationships, all kinds of relationships between food, people, jobs, our children, all kinds of relationships. Uh, because I'm in belief that the better relationships we have, the better life we will have. So, today, one of the topics that I wanted to spend some time on and share with you guys, would be, uh, on a man's purpose. If you guys can see that, so I'm pulling up a few things, get a few folks to come join us, and really have some conversation about it. Um, if we don't get a few people in here, as I understand, some people are busy, but we were going to have some conversation about purpose and how can us ladies, be a provider to gentlemen for that space so they can have purpose. Now, I know that they're going to say, oh, men already have purpose. What I'm saying is that if you choose to uh, pursue dating men, know that purpose to a man is something that is very, very important um, for them. And it is like the one thing that drives them to do things. So we want to make sure that we're in, know of what that looks like, right? So we want to make sure that we all kind of get the idea of what that is. So I'm gonna kind of just talk about it a little bit, see if we get some guests up here and whatnot. Obviously. But I want to say that if you are new to the channel, thank you for joining us. If you're new to my channel, you guys can go ahead and like and subscribe and share this video. I appreciate it. Building a little at a time, especially since now I'm not uh as able to come on as much as I'd like. So we're still kind of working on that. And if you guys are not new to the channel and you guys want to hear some content, please, on all platforms. My name is Miss Polly Wright. You can go Facebook, YouTube. I do give out consultations to people who want to kind of talk more about relationships, kind of deep dive in about their emotional space, ask questions about possibly being poly, possibly finding a partner, and how that looks and what to do to start if they're interested in that. So I want to put that out as our starter. And that's that we should really all think about. But today. So let's go ahead and jive that in here. You guys know I like to write down some wonderful, wonderful notes. Okay, so purpose. So, for gentlemen, this is a big thing for you ladies. Lord, praise my hope. You're listening. Purpose for these guys. So the driving force for men is purpose. I think one of the things that women don't understand is purpose for men. Purpose for men is like everything. It's like, why should they do anything? Like all these things. And now some men have purpose when they are pursuing a wife and children. Madonna Day, they've been told to, hey, your purpose is to provide, find a wife, provide your children and your spouse with a place to live and take care of them and all that stuff. So that's what you're supposed to do. That's your purpose. Some guys, in their mind, their purpose is to make an empire, build a company from the ground up. That's their purpose. So everything they will do will start kind of hyper focusing on that. Now, usually if they have a man in the home, father figure in the home, the idea of that purpose is brought up very early. Purpose, whatever they're doing, is brought up really early, and then they pursue that. If it is not a dad in the house, when there's women there, if you're raised by a single mom, your purpose is not necessarily a long term purpose. You'll hear, those I mean when they say, son husbands. That's one of the things. Son husbands, you have women who will have have sons, and they cater to their sons as if they're actually like husbands, um, or baby them for very long periods of time. So you have these things you have to deal with if you are in a home where there's just a mom, or you're raised by women, because women women for the most part don't function in long term goals. They function in the moment for the most part. We want to say most, women function in the moment, and though they've hyper focused on that, what's happening now, short term, 5 months, 6 months. Men function in longer term goals, longer term ideas of things, how things should go, be a lot longer. So when you're dealing with uh, a gentleman, you got to think of those things, right? So if you think about purpose, then their purpose as a young man who's father of the home, his dad would probably tell him about like figuring out what you're gonna do for what do you want, all those things. Those questions will come up, those conversations will happen. Women, they don't really ask that. They say, "Oh, baby, what you want to do?" Like it's a slower process, and it's short term, and they're also building their purpose around her. If that makes sense. Their purpose will be built around her, because now they've been put in a role where they're a male caring to a mom as a husband. So their purpose, how she'll be, let's say they're building up their son to be a husband, but it's to them, or they're building up their male sons to kind of follow into what can you do for me. It's a catering to what the mom wants. And it's catering usually for shorter term goals that aren't big ones. So that's what you have to do. Hey, bye. So when you look at the goals and things like that, that's what you should look at. Oh, hang on. I think I have a guest here. We do have a guest. Let me bring Mr. Best up here. Okay.
Hey,
Hi,
Miss
Mr. How are you?
What's going on? How you doing, Miss Polly?
I'm good. I'm good. I didn't see you back there for a second. So, I was having this little chat. Today I think I would like to talk about purpose. I know you're on your streaming uh vacay or your pause, so I appreciate you coming up here and taking the time. So I wanted to tell you that. Um, but today we were talking about purpose for men. I think there's a conversation that should be had. Um, and not just a purpose for men, but a purpose. Um, Women should allow men to have a purpose in their life, and if women allow that space, then men will feel like they have a purpose when they're in a relationship with them. Um, a lot of the women that we come across now were like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it all," or "I'm gonna do half," and all this. And I think what happens is they're not bringing over that other part that we were talking about. They're not bringing over the fact that this gentleman is trying to find a reason that he makes, like why is he there? What is he contributing to? Women don't think, oh well, men want to feel like useful. They want to feel like they have a purpose. And when you're doing all these things, you're taking that from them. So that's why I said a man's purpose. I think we say that, and women translate that question to something else, but really they're not providing a man purpose in the relationship with them. So then the man doesn't feel like he has a purpose for being there, and he doesn't feel like he's being useful or an asset, then that is something that they don't want to look at. They don't want to participate in as much. So I don't know how you feel about that. You can share your piece.
As always, when we have these relationship talks, I always ask which demographic of people are we talking about?
Mhm.
Because age matters, especially nowadays. Age definitely matters. And I think now, if we look in society, we have three different age gaps, right?
Mhm.
So we have people who are 35 and under, right, or 18 to 34. Then I say we have about from 35 to what 35 to 60 or whatever else, right? Before senior citizens, right? So you can say 35 to 64, right? Or however you want to take it. Then you have people who are seniors, right? Or people who are older. And maybe I'll maybe say, I'll kind of make it more fair. I'll say 35 to about 35 to about 50, right? Because I think after 50, I think the mindset is just different. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I think the expectations, the mindset, the values, the belief system, the way they grew up is completely different. I don't even think that they even think the same way or approach relationships the same way, right? I'll say yeah, 35 to 54. There you go. Because I think once you hit 55, I think now we're talking about like a whole different dichotomy and a whole different group of people, right? They might as well be their own race of people. You know what I mean? Just by the way they do things, but it's not a bad thing, right? It's just that they don't see things the same way as people who are younger than them, and vice versa, right?
Mhm.
So I can't relate to somebody between 18 and 34. I'm a little bit older than that, so my mindset is different. I don't listen to the same music. I don't really do the same type of things. I don't really want to be involved in the same type of things. You know what I mean? I'm just at a different space. But somebody who's in that space is gonna think about things different, right? They're gonna move differently. As well they should, right? They have their own ideals, concepts, and realities, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. So if I'm looking, mm, if I'm looking for somebody who's younger than me, who doesn't have who most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time is not going to have the same maturity level as me, right? And I'm looking for them to be on the same page as me, then I'm just delusional. You know what I'm saying? Because when I look at younger people, they're focused on a lot of different things. You know what I mean? Yes, they like to party, they like to have fun, and some of them like they may cause some mischief here and there, but a lot of them are really focused from what I see. They're focused on money, right? They're focused on of course having a good time, but they really are big into like the entrepreneur thing. I see a lot of young people doing that. You know what I mean? They're really big into how can I get my business started or how can I do this or how can I do that. They're very, very a lot of them are very business oriented. You know what I'm saying? Um, and they're not just trying to work a regular 9 to 5. You know what I
Right.
mean? They're not trying to get a regular job. Back in my day, if you had a job, you was the man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? 20 years ago, you got a job, you know what I mean? Or 22 years ago, you know what I mean? You got a job. Oh, you was the man. You know what I mean? You got a job, you got a cell phone, you got some nice clothes. Oh, you was the man.
Oh
You
goodness.
was the man. Ain't worried about if you live with your mom and none of that. Nobody cared about that. You had some cool clothes, you had a cell phone, right? You had a job, you was the man. You know what I mean? You could walk on water, literally. You know what I mean? That ain't the case no more. You can have a job nowadays, but if you don't have the right type of car, or if you ain't wearing Balenciaga, if you ain't the standards are different for younger people now. They move in a whole different wavelength, man. It's just not even the same. So I think that so now when we get down to relationships, right, and we get down to expectations that men and women have, of course it's gonna be different, right? Because a lot of younger people they're taught they don't need a man, right?
Hmm.
A lot of young women are taught that. I don't need a man. Excuse me. I can get it on my
Yes.
own. I don't need. Excuse me. Thank you. I don't got to worry about a man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing this to be empowered by me or nothing like that. I'm gonna get it on my own. Whereas if you have somebody that's our age, Miss Polly, around our age, right? Of course, you're gonna be looking for stability, right? What partners can I find to be stable with, right? Or
Right.
what partner can I find to be stable with? You know what I mean? All that other rhetoric and I don't need a man and I got my own bag and I'm wearing Balenciaga and I go to the gallery and all that, you ain't worried about none of that. You're trying
No.
to eat your ice cream. You're trying to eat your ice cream bar. You know what I mean? Make sure your kids are doing what they got to do for the summer, and make sure your partners are good. That's all you're focused on. You ain't focused
Yeah.
on, you ain't focused on being on Instagram and twerking and going to the club and all that. You're not in that generational wealth. You're not in that generational gap, right? That's not where you're at. Now we say somebody older, yes, they're gonna be more focused on stability. They're gonna be more focused on family. They're gonna be more focused on generational wealth because they're older. So they're really gonna be focused on building a legacy, right? Now I mean they're gonna be even more focused on trying to trying to basically have a legacy or maintain a legacy, right? That they have already worked towards, right? I'm in my latter 50s, or I'm about to turn a senior citizen. What I want to leave to my kids, what I'm gonna leave to my grandkids. You know what I mean? What how can they maintain what I've already built? That's their mindset, and that's really kind of what it should be at that age, anyway. So and then when it comes to relationships, yeah, they're gonna, if they're single at that age, of course they're gonna want to be with somebody that's stable. Know what I mean? They ain't trying to chase nobody. Know what I mean? Some of them could barely get out of bed. They ain't trying to chase nobody. Know what I mean? They want somebody that's gonna be on a same type of time. Even if they date somebody younger, right? Know what I mean? That person has to meet a certain, they have to meet a certain need for them, or a certain want for them, right? They're very focused on who they're gonna be with. And if it's anything wasting the time, they're not with it. So I think that's how it's broken down into, right?
Okay.
When we talk about which one, how women will approach it, when it comes to the different ages.
So,
And plus, I would say,
what do you think
I
a
would say
younger
women.
man's purpose is then?
I'll say this last point too. I'll say women who are older. You know what I mean? Whether it's our age or older, right? They're focused also on like how they could cater to the man. You know what I mean? What can they cook? You know what I mean? A lot of them are cooking, right? Younger women, she like, I ain't cooking that. You know what I mean? You better order you some DoorDash. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different mindset, man. So what are you gonna say about the younger men? I'm sorry. What was your question?
What do you think a younger man's purpose is?
Um, Dang, shit. Younger man's purpose
In the
to
relationship that
survive.
they're in. Yeah, what is their purpose now? Yeah.
um, Younger man purpose in a relationship. Um, I would encourage younger men to really be in a relationship too young. I would tell a younger man to really explore, travel, enjoy their youth. You know what I'm saying? Invest in certain things that they love. You know what I mean? Because once you really settle down, have a family, your focus gonna be on your family. Your focus gonna be on your
Okay.
wife. Even if you love your business, or you love playing a sport, or you love doing something, right? Your focus is now, it's not completely dedicated to that one thing, because now you're thinking about other things that are important to you as well. So for a younger man, I would tell him, yo, look, travel, like I said, travel, invest in some things, um, have fun with your friends, you know what I mean, and enjoy life, and see different cultures. I'm really big into that traveling thing, man. See different cultures, different spaces, different places. Really broaden your horizons, man. And then I would say, to me, I would say like once you hit about 28, 29, you can start looking for a wife at that moment. 28, 29, before you hit 30, I'll say start looking for one by then. But early, like from like 18 to about 27, nah, man. Enjoy your youth. Have fun.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Protect yourself. Don't be having a bunch of babies and nothing like that. You know what I mean? Protect yourself. Be
Mhm.
wise. Have your fun. Enjoy life, man, and have fun. I'm
Okay.
telling you, once you have a family and once you settle down, everything gonna change. You know what I mean?
So, hello, Dark. What I was
Salute,
thinking,
salute the dark late.
I am single. I'm single. Listen. So when you say what the purpose is, I think that's what other thing has been saying. I think that a lot of women, like I said before, a lot of women don't like the ones who you can say our bracket, say between in the 30s, if even 30s and 40s, if you are not allowing the space for a gentleman to come into your life, would you say that men, what is the purpose for men? If you were saying you don't need anyone, you don't want anyone, but you would like you, oh, I like a man, but I don't, not saying you have to need someone, but not allowing them to be in your life to contribute. I think that is a deterrent for men. Like, if they kind of come to you and I'm like, I want to be part of your life, I want to add value to it, and you take away the fact that they could add value to your life, then you're taking away the purpose of them being there. So I think that is something that women don't really think about when
Hold on,
they're
Miss
out
Holly.
here.
Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds.
Sure. When they're out here, I think it's really confusing because every year, like, for when you ask someone to be your partner, you ask them to come, and you turn around and they basically take away the reasoning. Oh, I want someone to hug and cuddle on, blah, blah, blah. And then when they're there, you're basically saying, oh, I don't need you. I don't need you. And so when you keep saying that, I think that's like something too. A lot of younger people, keep talking this over themselves. Oh, men aren't good, blah, blah. I think people don't understand how their words affect themselves and others. And so you're constantly speaking something over someone or over yourself. You're kind of bringing that, to life. Or talking about how you don't need someone, how you can do it by yourself. But at the end of the day, you don't want to do it by yourself. You don't want to be by yourself. You want to have these interactions with other people that are more than just, a one night stand or, a 2-week session, these sneaker leagues. You want more than that. But then every time, you try to act hard and make sure you are not going to get hurt by saying you don't need them. And I think women mess that up for themselves. There's some women who do want to be single, like I am single. And that's okay. If you feel like you're in that place and you're fine. But when you're saying you want a boyfriend or want a partner, and then saying you're always, every time they mess up or every time you're in a situation, you revert back to I don't need anybody. I never want to feel vulnerable. When you don't allow space for somebody to come in your life and contribute and make you better or contribute to your life in general, I think you take away the reason they're there. And when you take away the reason they're there, then there's no reason to keep that partnership. And I think that's where some women are just dropping the ball when they really do want someone in their life, and they need to really think about why they want a partner. Why do they think they aren't being successful in this? Why aren't they being successful? Because that's one thing I hear a lot. It is, Miss Paul, I can only deal with one person. And I say that's fine. But he said, well, why? I can't even find one. How you found 3? And I'll tell you one of the reasons why, because I don't have expectations of someone to be perfect. But I also don't have expectations of someone being garbage either. There has to be a point where their core values, where I was talking about core values in my other videos, it's about finding things that are core values, and then when you find partners with those core values, someone's core values, if you don't know what a core value is, that is something that it's basically built in them. They were built, okay? They were made by parents and all this, and this is something that doesn't change. It's not going to change. So when you find core values in people that you are both in alignment with and you are okay with those core values, they don't change. So when you find core values in someone, you're good with those. Remember, we talk about, I always say too, you need to find out what you want, what you need, and what you can give. Okay? Once you find out that, then you'll know what are the things that I absolutely need and what things do I actually want. And I noticed that the thing that you need is someone who's going to be consistent. Blah, blah, blah. Might be by saying, I want somebody consistent. No, their actions and everything they do is very consistent. When they go to work every day and they never miss this day because even when they get sick, they still push themselves to go. And they do that all the time. That's consistency that they push on themselves. That's not you encouraging them. That's not them changing and being consistent because now they have a family. It's not. It's something that was built in them. That doesn't change. Being a very caring, loving individual that's very connected with their emotions. That's not something that just goes away. It's built in you. Okay, I'm gonna read what the single one said and bring that up here. It's important for women to examine their own expectations. What are they rooted in? Romance, fantasy, fairy tales, or reality. And that's true. There's some women who live in a fantasy world about things that aren't going to be happening. Okay? I'm sorry, there's ice cream, but fantasy. Some girls think that they're going like their husband's gonna be a prince. Okay? No, that's just no. And that's what I think these fairy tales have done a disservice to many girls. Now, I mean that you said it does matter demographic, yes. But the fantasy, I think for little white girls, they see the little princesses and they see their husbands are going to take care of them to the day they die and they love them forever, blah, blah, blah. You know, a fantasy for, you know, little black girls and stuff is that the fantasy for little black girls is very interesting. And my version of it is you find a husband, you marry him, right? And he stays with you and he takes care of you. But it always seems like they're always like this partnership when it's a ethnic. It's a partnership. Like it's never, oh, your husband's gonna take care of you, you're gonna have kids and he's gonna, it's always like you and your husband work together and you have kids together and you work together and you guys, you know, work hard together and you stay, you know, no matter what. And the fantasy is that, you know, you'll have a Meemaw or whatever at the house. She'll outlive the dad because he'll die from whatever reason, cause unhealthy reason. And you still on the porch and you think about your husband and share that with your kids.
But Miss Polly, no racial epithet or culture does it alone. You know what I mean?
What we didn't do doesn't alone.
When I go to my doctor's office, right?
Mm.
And I'm around, you know, and I'm around the, you know, the medical facilities.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The wives and the sisters and all that, they're the ones that's taking my blood pressure. They're the ones that are signing me in. They're the ones that are calling me to make sure that I'm coming at my appointment. Now the husband may own a medical facility, right? Or he may be the lead doctor. But trust me, there's no group of people who don't work together. You know what I'm saying?
But, wait, I'm confused. What point? Okay, sorry. What part? The fantasy of, she said, okay, so the fantasy that they work together.
Well, no. What I'm saying is that all groups of people work together. You know what I mean? If they're going to build generational wealth. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, that generational wealth, you don't hear that in. I'm trying not, you know, we're trying to stay focused on the word of purpose today, but you don't really hear any other group of people talking about partnerships in a manner where a man and woman are doing equal shares, but in black.
Well, no,
I don't ever hear anyone Spanish saying, "Let's share the equal." No.
Well, no, I mean they don't. But here's the thing, right? They don't. The thing is that everybody in that household, that's a Spanish household, they're working. You know what I mean? I remember I worked with one. It was a Spanish woman I worked with. She was my boss, right? And she was like, "We have a home. Our son in the military is gonna have a home. Our daughter gonna have a home. Our son that just graduated, he about to have a home. So we about to help him get a home, right?" And she was building a swimming pool in the back of her home, right? And her husband worked and he did construction or whatever he did, right? So everybody worked. So it wasn't where, you know, one person was just waiting on the other person to do something. No. You know what I mean? Now, as far as them, you know, basically, you know, when it comes to men and women dichotomy, as far as like the women being subservient to their men in a certain way, as far as like them listening to their husbands or them being more subservient to them in certain ways and certain aspects, that might happen more in other cultures. Yes, I may give you that. But as far as them, working together, oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's the thing. Know what
Well,
I
I
mean?
mean,
Now
yeah, now
they
we're
may not
working
call it
together,
a
but the
partnership.
fantasy. What is the fantasy? The fantasy that you like, the idea, like, not saying that it happens. I'm saying the fantasy that we grew up with is that your husband, you marry him, and they take care of you. That's the
Yeah, that's
fantasy.
a fantasy.
But that's not the
No, but I
fantasy
can
for
go with that fantasy.
that. Yeah,
I
this
can
is
go with that
Spanish
fantasy at all.
fantasy. You stay at home, you take care of your little ones, and your husband goes to work, you take care of him.
I, I
That
never I never go with that fantasy at all, and not nor have I seen it. I think that's more
the
of a thing
black.
that's put
That's
in
why I
social
said that.
media.
Not you don't see the fantasy. The fantasy is when you look at any Spanish culture and their like their tales and things like that. They're not, and it's even whites. You don't see the. That's the fantasy is that the man is taking care of the woman in other cultures. When you come to Black Americans, that is not our fantasy. Is literally us working as a team.
Okay, are you saying that's more of a narrative that's pushed than a fantasy? You know what I mean?
Mm, I'm saying the so like when we see visions of ourselves. Okay, here's a good one.
Okay.
Here's this is a good one. Okay, I'm trying to break it down a little better because make sure I'm explaining it properly. When you see Snow White, you see Belle and all them white women. You see them marrying a man, and they that's the fantasy. Marry your husband, he's a prince, blah blah. When you see the princess Tiana, you see the fantasy is her marrying her husband and they working jobs together, or they even though he's a prince, she's still working. It's like, do you see what I'm saying? It's the fantasy is not that the woman's being feminine. In Black culture, the woman is more of a teammate. So it's like your perception of the fantasy in Black Americans is that we're supposed to be our husband's partner and do all half the work. It's not a very feminine role that we see in the fantasy, not in the
Hmm.
reality. But in the fantasy, when you see white princesses and they marry, they're not doing what Tiana's doing. Or Tia. I don't know where we're going. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I understand what you're saying, but
okay.
but one, just from my experience, just being in a lot of different spaces and places throughout this land. Um, my perception is that the only women that even have that type of luxury, their husbands is making 7, 8 figures. Like they're living super high on the hog. You know what I mean? But from everybody else that I've seen around me, or people that I've experienced, you know what I mean, or people that I've been around, and I've been around, some pretty different spaces and places. I've been in regular places. I've been in medium. I've been in elite people. I've been all over. I've done tech. I've done customer service. I've done different type of roles. So I've seen different types of lifestyles, and because of that, you know what I mean, it allowed me to really have a vast experience to see that, okay, you know what I mean, these cultures, every culture, everybody has to work together. You know what I mean? Now, yes, there may be fantasies and narratives that are put out there that are not actually true, right? And when you really start looking at reality, we like, oh yeah, dang, everybody do got to work, huh? You know what I mean? Because that's when reality is there, and that's when reality strikes us and knocks us on our ass. You know what I mean? Because now we seeing what really is what. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I think to answer your previous question that you was asking me before, hmm, as far as like just kind of how like we can kind of be more united in a way that we kind of move as men and women, as far as like our expectations, or even as far as what we doing or what we looking for, right? Um, I think that I think that we got to understand that we have an upcoming election coming up. You know what I mean? So whatever, because it's the answer to the point where you was like how like older women or women that's in the 30s and 40s, right? They'll be more like they don't need a man, they don't want a man, and they're not letting a man be involved in their life, right? But most of the time that's happening with women who are older, you know what I mean, because they're they're embittered, they're upset, they're hurt. Things have
Mm,
happened to them that have hurt them. Things have happened to them that have basically made them to the point where they feel like, yo, I don't want to be around nobody, right? But that's just because they have they're bitter or they're jaded based on their experiences. Now you have a young woman that feels that way, right? And it could be the same thing, but if she's a younger woman, it could be more based on her childhood or her father, things of that nature. She don't really have enough experiences with a man in an intimate relationship to say, well, I don't need a man, this, that, and the third, I don't want to be around a man, this, that, and the third. Right? Most time that's the case. So you know what I mean? So I mean that's the thing. And when it's an older woman that feels that way, yes, you know what I'm saying? I think that that's when, she needs to definitely, be healed. That's when she definitely needs to, you know what I'm saying, seek healing, whether it's an older woman or a young woman, right? You know, if people feel like, man, because of this experience, I don't want to be around the opposite sex, or because of this experience, I don't want to, what I mean, I don't want to date this person, or I don't want to be around this person, or whatever. You know what I mean? So they need to get healed, because I'm gonna tell you like this: the amount of what I mean, the amount of time that we think we don't have, and if we don't solve this whole, or we don't stop really, if we just keep focusing on, these arguments about relationships and people not being healed and all this other stuff, and when we start getting healed, when we start dealing with the real issues, then we're gonna have a bigger problem than we have right now.
mm,
You know what I mean? So, because what's coming down the pipeline politically and socially, yeah, it's gonna get real out here. So we got to get our shit together. You know what I mean? And part of getting it together, you know what I mean, it's just figuring it out. Okay, why, because I don't think it's everybody. I just think it's certain people. But for those, excuse me, for those who are not healed, you know what I mean? What's going on? What's going on, Grizz? For those who are not healed, you know what I mean? How
mm.
can we become healed? You know what I mean? How can we finally deal with whatever's going on or whatever's affecting us? You know what I mean? So for the men, from the women on down, you know what I mean? Because if we are having, if we can't even basically, go on dates, or we can't even basically, you know what I mean, have conversations where it's not contentious, or it's not men and women trying to go at each other, then yeah, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? We can't even have a just a regular forum where we actually can talk about relationships and actually have solutions. You know what I mean? And then it's all this, oh, men is this way, or women are that way, or this person is that way, and we're not coming to any solutions. And if we can't get that right, then we can't even just focus on and figure out how we're gonna do this man and woman thing. Then yeah, we're gonna have a bigger problem on our hand. And FYI, our kids are not getting younger. That's just FYI. They're getting older, okay? So we got to figure it out.
Yes, that's very true. Um, like you said, like they're not making the space, um, and the wall. I mean, they're not even getting the chance to even. I mean, you hear girls now saying you don't even need men at all, and they're not even. They haven't even started dating yet. I've met, 90-year-olds are like, well, what's the point of having a man? I mean, you literally hear it, other than sex. That's like really sad to me to hear women say that. Young women say that. What's the purpose of having a man unless he's having sex with you or he's paying something? If he ain't doing that, what's the purpose? And you're like, dang, like, we've gotten to a place where we're teaching young ladies this so early. It's in the music too. Yeah, I know, blah blah blah. But you also hear it being pushed not only through music, which, if you're a parent and you have children, you're hearing it in the music, but you're hearing it also from the moms. You hear it from moms. You've been hearing it. You hear it down generational lines, especially women who maybe haven't had very good luck with men or whatever, and you hear them pushing this. Why do we need them? And it's just it baffles me because now they're just blindly following information. They don't even have information. It's like the younger ones aren't even getting the information. They're not even having the experiences to say the things they're saying. Does that make sense? You're not even having the experience. You're already walking into relationships with the mindset of what is your purpose. And these men are like, well, I can, I'm supposed to help you. Right. And they're like, well, I can do that myself. What's your purpose? And it's no longer having the purpose of building with someone or any of those things, especially if you're monogamous. I see it as a really devastating thing to relationships. Not providing a purpose. A lot of people, if they don't have a purpose, they don't feel like there's a need. So it's like it's on both sides. It's very interesting to watch how this develops, but hopefully, it'll somewhere take a turn and someone just says that's enough. But it's just looking really not great. And like they said, when it comes to culture wise, I mean, white women, they can talk all that crap all day and say that all day, and they're 19, blah blah blah. Like I said, when they're 22, but they can turn around and get a husband. And it's some of these things too. Like it's kind of like when I tell like kids, like you see these little kids out here doing this and that, but you're a little black boy or you're a young black man. It's different when you do it. They can get away with it. They get a slap on the wrist. You will not. It's kind of like that. So for us women, black women, I think you gotta realize that like our consequences are harsher than other women, and to recognize that. So
Oh yeah, our people will never be treated the same as as people who are of a different racial appetite. We're not going to be treated the same. We never have.
mhm,
Never happened here in this country ever, and it never will. You know what I
mhm,
mean? We're not the landlords, we're the tenants. You know what I mean?
right,
I think that's what we have to fully understand. When you understand your role as a tenant here, which you are, you know what I mean? You'll move accordingly. And until you have something which you and which your people own, that's your own, then it's gonna be that. And the thing is, if I'm a landlord, I'm never gonna let the tenant take over my house. Never. You're always gonna be in that role. No matter how much I uplift you, no matter how many roles I give you, no matter how many responsibilities I give you, you're still always gonna be a tenant.
mm,
And as long as you understand that, we are all good. But the moment you start thinking that we're on the same level, oh, we got a problem. You
mm,
know what I mean? And the thing is that you're gonna go before I go. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? And that's always gonna be the case. So we have to just understand it. And the more we understand it, the better we're able to deal with this country and deal with the politics and the socialism and things of that nature. But I think to speak to your point, so for the young women or the young men that feel like they don't need relationships, I mean, I'm fine with that. I'd rather them not be in relationships mm, than be in a relationship and then, they're making somebody else's life a living hell. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, yeah, if they don't, if they're not ready for that and they're not ready for that commitment, cool. Let them stay on the sideline. You know what I mean? Let them stay on the sideline. Let them stay where they at. You know what I mean? Let them figure it out on their own. You know what I mean?
right,
Because I'd rather them do that than them get with someone and then they're destroying, that young man or young woman that they're with. You know what I'm saying? So if they're not ready, good. You know what I mean? And then one day they may come back and they may say, let's say it's a younger woman, she may say, Miss Polly, you know, I actually do want companionship now. And you say, you know what? Good. I'm glad you changed your mind. Right? Or maybe she will never want it. Right? But that's good too. You know what I mean? Know what side of the fence you stand on. And once you know what side of the fence you stand on,
mhm,
you can be okay. Mhm.
right.
With that being said, Miss Polly, this is my time. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Thanks for
dear.
having me on.
Yes,
You
I
know what I
will.
mean? But definitely, you know what I mean? I appreciate you. You know what I mean? Much love to everybody in the comments. You know what I mean? Shout out to Issa Hopeful. And is that Marcus?
It is Marcus.
Can
I
you hear
look
me?
down. Yes, we
Hey
do.
Marcus, what's going on, man?
What's up? I just wanted to check in with you guys. See how you guys were doing.
Yeah, good.
Good, good,
There's
good, good. I'm about to break out because it's my time, but
I
yeah, he
got
since you
you.
up
did.
here, I'll give another 10 minutes since you up here.
Okay, for now, wait, man, don't let me stop you. If you got a regimen, go do your thing, bro. I understand.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
wanted to ask what you guys are talking about because I know like you're talking about like I caught up on the
Um,
end right now.
yeah. So we had started the conversation because I was talking about a purpose, of a man's purpose. Now I just saw that is it ESO? He had put in there, a man's purpose not to take care of a woman. I know men have purpose in their own life for what they're doing, but when they want to be with a woman, what is what is their purpose in that relationship? And I'm not saying like, man don't have purpose. What I'm saying is women are at this point not allowing men to have purpose in the relationship, and that is causing some friction also. So if your man wants to, I've seen women do this all the time. They fight over things like, oh, I don't want you to open the door. Why are you giving me flowers? Or like it's just weird stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, why are you being a gentleman? Or like, ma'am, that is that man doing, like, why is he I've heard someone like, why is he doing this for me? Like, because that's what he feels like, that's his purpose in the relationship. Um and
Yeah,
that's different. You know what I'm saying? Not like saying men have purpose to do what they're gonna do. But when they're in the relationship, are women allowing them to have that space? That's what we're kind of talking
yeah. I don't think the whole giving a lady a flower or a gift or something is considered the purpose. I think it's more of the thought of it. You know, it's more the fact that the person is showing selfless acts of care and thought to a person that they care about. That's not a purpose, however. That's just a byproduct of a person you get with in a relationship where they actually like being in the relationship and they actually think about the other person, you know. Um, and I think because we have an individual purpose as men, right? We have to establish our own life. We have to make sure we make our own path, build our own portfolio, our own resume, and build ourselves up physically, mentally, financially, stuff like that, you know. And then
about.
when it comes to being with, you know, a woman and making a family, clearly the priority is to protect and provide and raise that family and be together as a unit. And um, you know, there will be moments and roles for stuff like that, right? There's going to be moments and roles. So the purpose right there at that moment when you take someone's daughter. Clearly, my role is, you know, the father giving away the daughter. I'm going to protect this woman. I'm going to love this woman. She's going to confide in me and trust me. So, and
Mhm.
in doing so, that's usually how it was, at least, right? Nowadays, people want to just have babies and, you know, go to Vegas and get married and stuff like that, or do some crazy, you know, some people do, right? Or
Okay.
just go to the courthouse real quick. You know what I'm saying? So, um, but yeah, I think that's what it is too. And clearly the legacy, that right there, the legacy right there is a big
Okay.
thing.
I do have a question here for you. So then, see, so that's another thing that this is a concern for women, because I hear this is a concern I hear a lot. After these babies are gone, after these kids are gone, then there's legacy. Because guys, like say, they want to have children for their legacy, whatever. When the kids are gone, what is the purpose of the woman?
When it comes to just, well, it's still there. The role is still there, like making the house a home. You know, regardless of the kids graduate or not, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, just being each other's peace. You know, if you can be that person's peace, can there be people that take it for granted? For sure, there's people that take it for granted every day. And it's something, you know, but there's others that take it more serious and take less for granted and actually cherish and appreciate that kind of stuff. So you just need to make sure you find out who you're messing with and who you vet properly as much as you can. And, you know, note the green flags as much as we want to notice the red flags. And then stuff like that, you know. So uh, just notice how the person treats others, treats their family. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and when guys actually sit down and actually be around each other, uh, you guys actually like being with each other, not just for the good times, but the bad times, you know, and actually still want to be with each other after that too. So I think when we hear the whole like purpose of, oh, what happens when the kids move out or they graduate college or they go on their own, that dynamic of that family, that the grandparents or the older parents, whatever, the kids are gone out of the homestead. It's that foundation is still there. So when the kids look back at that and family look, hey, they're still there. They're still rocking with each other regardless of ups and downs. And the kids young and grown, and they say, hey, well, guess what? Let's go see them. They're still together. They still love each other. They still, trust each other and make memories together. Because when it comes to the actual, I think my definition, or not just my, but the overall general definition of marriage is till death do you part. And I think that's what's actually what people actually, when I see them wanting that family thing, they want to get to the finish line and get there, but they got to understand they got to put in the work, and that takes time and it takes a lot of resilience.
Okay. Well, do you need to go in the soapbox? I want to make sure you. Okay. So that's okay. I have to make sure he leaves. Okay, so I think that's the thing. Like, children are a byproduct of your relationship. That's why I think that it should be. Because a lot of people are just getting married because not now. Nobody's really trying to get married. Nobody really wants children. So, to some degree, I think what's happening now is that they were a little while ago. They were thinking about getting married, to have children in this family, and that was the focus. And then, like I said, when they got older, a lot of times these families would just break apart. They're like, oh, well, he's 18 now, or they're 18, and I don't even know if I really like you or I like where we are. And I think that's the question that women worry about. It's like, okay, so what was the purpose of me being with this man? So I could be taken care of for, and have children. Women want children for the most part. In the period, like let's say, like me, women who are in their 30s, they want to have children.
It's fun to say you want both, because I think that's one of the things that's justified to say you want both, children and grow old together.
Yeah, so those are the things. But I really don't hear people say. I really hear people say, I want to have have children.
White picket fence, the tire swing on the tree, the barbecue in the backyard.
I rarely hear people say, I want to have a person in my life that I can spend time with, that I can have these adventures with, have these experiences with. I don't hear people talk like that. It's more of, I want to, like you said, the pink fence. I want to have some travels. I want to have some good times. And sometimes they don't even mention the other person. They just mention having a better income, a better life because of another person. But it's not because they enjoy the person. And I think that's what sucks right now, is because relationships aren't based on the interactions with the person. It's based on what people can give the other one. Does that make sense? And I think that's
you're talking about like that, just receiving I and not really understanding the concept of a full long-term relationship in a marriage, in the family. But I think at the same time, it's like you see a lot of this self-gratification and this huge inflation of not just, I think, ego, but I think standards and expectations and this illusion on social media, and you get to see 20-second video of someone's life and you think that's going to be it. And no, that's just like a Hallmark card, right? When you get a Hallmark card and you open the song is only for a few seconds and then it repeats again, right?
Yes.
And that's the thing, is like, people need to understand, like stop pedestalizing this illusion. Like, yes, there's going to be good times, and those good times with the right person is going to make it feel even more amazing than what it usually is. However, some of these people that you see probably look like they have a healthy relationship. Sometimes they've probably gone through it sometimes. And some of those that stay through that kind of stuff, that's why it's called thick and thin, for better, for worse, for sickness and health, stuff like that. I had my grandfather when he was with my grandmother, my mother's mother. She passed away from lung cancer, right?
Okay.
So when she was gone, it took a toll on him, right? And rightfully so. That's the person that you actually care about, love for. And then it took some time for him to move on, and he met another older lady, in his age range. And it wasn't until later in the marriage when he got with her, he got sick. He got cirrhosis. He got like a liver cancer. But that lady was still there for him through sickness and health, giving him his medicine, taking the time to be with him. All the times that we had to go visit and go to Mexico and go from California to Mexico to go visit him, she was there, feeding him, clothing him, bathing him. And the same way that he was there with my grandmother, with memories that I could remember, he was there for her. And the same with my family. So when I seen that, I seen at the end of the day, that's what honestly, when I see like pure, genuine love and attention and care and patience and stuff like that, and the resilience of it and stuff, that's what I think. If I would think people would want that.
Yes.
If that's what we're talking about the fraction of people that actually genuinely want that stuff, not just, hey, I want to have a house. I want me to just give me the cars, give me the vacation, give me the bags, whatever you want. Take me out to expensive restaurant. At the end of the day, and I think people genuinely, if you send them down without their friends being there, without the people that they want to suck up to and be cool in front of, I think they honestly would want that. And I think at the end of the day, when you're by yourself in your house and you're sitting down, you're looking at the mirror, or you're taking a shower, or you're just having an epiphany on the toilet, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit, right? You're thinking about something like that at some end of the day in the road, right? Because people already have an issue with having faith. Now you got to have an issue with having trust and the fact that, hey, maybe it's a one-hit quitter, but then again, it's like it's a gamble. It sucks, but it is what it is. It's just all's fair in love and war.
Yes. Well, that is true. That's why I was like, I was been trying to think about, like you said, different ways to be helpful and make more helpful content in general. And I think a lot of times with these, the podcast, it still feels like there's bickering that never ends. There is no winner. There is no winner, And so at the end of the day, I think giving people an idea of what they could do. When people keep doing the same thing and just hoping that it'll be different, which is basically the definition of insanity, is that, doing the same thing, hoping for different results. And if we don't try something different, we're never going to get anywhere. It's clearly not working. Let's try something different. Being open to the idea of, like you said, we were talking about fantasy a little bit earlier, about the fantasy that were given to us, and we need to maybe think about, as women, that in that, everything online is like a fantasy, and you're seeing people go on trips and all this, and then you'll turn around, you'll hear people taking other partners out. They had a wife, or the YouTube couple were great, and then he deleted his boo, because you're just seeing, like you said, just a piece of something, but not necessarily the whole thing. And we need to have women realize that it's not all about trips, it's not all about the sparkles. I want to be with someone where I can say, oh my God, I had a really tough year, but I'm glad I had it with you. I don't think a lot of people would say something like that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah,
because that takes a lot of humility, and that takes a lot of self-observation, self-observation and a lot of humility, and clearly understanding that, hey, like, you're grateful and you were humble enough to say, hey, like, the fact that you were here with me for that time being, and because we're not here for, we don't know when we can be gone one day or the other, we don't know. So the fact that you do things like that and say things like that, it matters, especially, for us men. It's not so much that our ego, but it's more a fact of respect, and the fact of that, oh wow, you noticed, you recognized, and we appreciate that, and just the small things. I remember somebody else was telling me, like, in their relationship, right, they were going through, and I wasn't the one, like, to give advice, but they just asked me, hey, like, from a guy's perspective, I was like, well, just try doing, like, little things like that. It's like the little things, like, if you know that he's having issues with, like, let's say diet or fitness, sprinkle some stuff here and there for him, or stop by and visit him during his lunch and bring him like a healthy lunch, like stuff like that. Like, if you guys have time to be with each other, or do something where you're at the store and, like, you know what, I thought of you and I wanted to get this for you for fitness or something like that. or
Yes.
whatever hobby you have or some type of investment that you have that you like doing, a passion for. So it's like little things like that, like people will notice. And the genuine ones that are really grateful and humble and they appreciate will notice as well. And it's always like reciprocation without even asking for it. I think is an awesome thing. It's just that the foggy thing and the issue with that is sometimes it could be sometimes a expectation or a standard.
Oh yeah.
And that's the issue. That's the foggy line right there.
Right. And you know, I always try to say to people, like, you got to remember that the person you're with is not you. So expecting someone to do what you would do is ridiculous. They're not you. You're not dating yourself. So if they do something different or they don't react the way you wanted them to, you have to realize, like, they're not you. And I think that's really important for women, because they're like, oh, you know, but if I had, you know, if that was me, I would have. If they even say that, you should say, well, I am not you. And so you have to see value in the person you're with. That's why you get to know them. Because if they did something else to please you or do something nice, like, okay, he didn't, you know, he saw that you're having a hard time at work, and he never says, oh, how are you doing when he comes in, but he's watching you. And then one day he buys you a new pair of shoes. That was his way. That was his way of maybe trying to fix the problem. Maybe you didn't think that was the greatest thing to do, but that's his way of showing it. That could just be an example. I'm just saying. Not everybody's like that, but that could be something, just because it's not the way you envisioned it. Remember, women, we are visual people. When it comes to imagining a fantasy, we will see that. You will be romancing what someone should be doing.
Not just visual, but you ladies do love to hear, you know, even if it's a sweet lie or even a boost or something, you know, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Issa's been going in the chat. Issa's going in the chat today, but yeah.
I feel. I'm just saying. This is just something that I think that I need to think the women, because I think I've been coming across a lot of women who are like, well, I get it in my real life too. They say, like, well, I can't find one person. How do you find more than one? And I said, I, you know, obviously times are changing though, but a lot of it, I told myself realistically, because you guys know I'm poly, realistically, it would be for me to date someone who's monogamous. I would find that very difficult in a regular situation, but the atmosphere that women are creating makes it very easy, because men aren't going to continue to do the same thing and hope for the same result. I mean, for a different result. They're not like women. Women keep doing the same thing, thinking somehow magically it's going to fix. Men usually do not do that. They'll try a couple times, it don't work, they're going to switch it up. So if you keep showing them that, you know, oh, I don't need you all this. No, there's somebody over here trying something different. Maybe I should try it. They make an atmosphere where other options are a possible solution. They're going to try it just because of just how their nature is. So when they ask that, a lot of times I'm like, you know, analyze yourself, you know, what are you doing? You know, you have to take accountability.
Love that word. Love that word, right? Because people are allergic to that. Like, you could say it on the panel and then they would still be allergic to that word.
Oh, you got to take ownership. Let's say it's ownership. Take ownership of some of the things you do. And then know that it's, you know, we have to analyze ourselves and be able to recognize some things we're doing and try to fix those things. Stop living in a fantasy world. Unfortunately, you know, I think I live in a fantasy world.
So you want to live in the fantasy? I got you. All right, Miss.
Yeah, I think I live in a fantasy. I don't think a lot of women can do what I do, but it's just what it is. But I also, with knowing that a lot of women can't do what I do, I know that I have to sacrifice things to be able to live the way I live. And some women don't want to sacrifice that, because at the end of the day, they're like, oh, you sacrifice this stuff. It's worth it for me, if that makes sense. The sacrifices I make,
it incentivizes you. You got more pros and cons the way you're living.
Yeah, okay. You know, if I, yeah.
and just to be sure, just to be safe, you're just looking at from yourself, from your own lens as a person that lives in poly, but you don't speak for the rest of the poly community.
No, because some people will, for the most part, I don't see the kind of arguments they have in monogamy when it comes to the women issue. I don't see that much of the complaints are not the same. But like you said, like I also am very different from a lot of poly people. So no, I don't speak for them all. Because I date monogamous. A lot of poly people don't believe date monogamous. For many reasons, and I understand why.
Why? Like, so, but isn't that a level of insanity itself, though? Knowing that, you know, that there's guys that are monogamous and, you know, you live in the poly lifestyle?
So for myself, why I do it?
Because you love the game, you love the chase.
No, I think what happened, what has happened,
and the test,
because
and
this
the
was
test.
not intentional. This is not intentional. What happened was I am very like, oh, you know, like one person, I can have that individual time, and then I, you know, switch over. I'm fine. It doesn't bother me, and a lot of monogamous men come to me. So it's not like, it's like my pool of to choose from is very monogamous in any way. I have a very monogamous pool that men who come to me. Poly people, yeah, I have poly guys talk to me, but since I am more polyandry, like, not saying I am polyandry, a lot of guys who are in poly, they're usually polygamous. They want two women. So what happens is it kind of by default kind of puts it to like, if I'm poly, I'm a guy and I'm poly and I want two women, and one of the women want to talk to the men. I mean, and there's a lot of guys who are like, oh, I don't care, they're fine. But for the most part, and then on top of that, the kind of woman I am, I attract a lot of more masculine alpha, you want to call them alpha males?
You go with those YouTube words.
I attract very masculine men.
The main guy in the room. You try to attract the main guy sometimes.
I don't try. It's just what it is.
Oh, you just pursue. I'm sorry. You just pursue.
No pursuing. Hang on, let me get some of these. These little things up here. It's not me. I promise it's not me. I don't know why red pill gentlemen seem to like me a lot. I don't know. It's just what it is. You know?
Well, it depends on how do you carry yourself. Are you a soft, feminine woman around these alpha men?
I've been told I've been very, very submissive. So.
Well, there you go. That's always an angle.
So if that's what, you know, they're into, hey, you know, I just be out here just being great, being who I am naturally, and I guess that's just tracked. I've never really had a real issue finding a gentleman to actually want to be with me longer. I'm not a short-term kind of lady. That's just never been the case. I've never walked in somewhere and been like, oh yeah, I got to be with someone for 3 months. Like I don't move like that. It's never been for me. So that's why I think even in poly, like I said, the first relationship I was with for long term was long term, man. It's been 4 years now. Like I'm not like I'm just not one of those people. Like if I'm gonna get with you, because I think about long term, I'm gonna be with you for a long time. So what happens is
you do what to who for a long time?
If I want to be with you, I'm gonna be with you for a long time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's good. Sounds pretty monogamous.
It does. That's why I said, look, like it sounds pretty monogamous. So
you know what I'm saying?
I think that's just me. I don't know. That's why I think I'm a little different outside of.
I think sometimes you're trying to fight the monogamy nature in you as a woman, and you try to go and express it in poly ways.
I was like being me. It just ends up that I seem like a mixture of both. I'm not trying to.
But what's the saying though? What is the saying? You can't have your cake and eat it too. Sometimes you can't have it all.
I mean, I can't. I don't right now. I mean, I don't.
And if you try to, sometimes too much cake leads to diabetes and high blood pressure.
Oh my God, Marcus, for real, diabetes.
That's true. Well, that's what they say. Well, hey, if they're gonna use that analogy or that type of line or cliche, then of course I'm gonna add a little sprinkle to it. Doctors.
Oh my God.
Footnote.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
I think right now the pod that I have gathered is amazing, and I think that we're long-term fighters. So we'll see. But I mean, it's been. I mean, at this point, when you get to the point where you have, let's say, like 4 partners that are pushing, everybody's pushing at least over a year. That's good. So when I get there, I'll let you know, and it'll be great.
You're good. I mean, just make sure you, as long as there's a communication open, like
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
strong level of communication and understanding, and understand you guys are all on the same page and come to agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you disagree, try to come to a consensus.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, there's gonna be issues. And there's what's the saying, like you can't expect to fit a square in a circular hole. It just goes back to the insanity thing. Without thinking there's gonna be different results.
Please stop.
And you know what I'm saying? So
That's very true.
yeah. Yeah.
I think you're right. But yeah, I just wanted to, like I said, this live, which is not supposed to be long, which can get like a little bit because I'm making short ones. But just, I think a man's purpose. I know that kind of drew everybody in here, but yeah, just kind of like I want to kind of speak to the ladies. I feel like I've always kind of leave them hanging, and I think I don't want to leave them hanging anymore. And I don't know if they, like you said, a lot of women, they will talk garbage, right? They'll say, "Oh, that's ridiculous." But I do see a lot of women have a lot of questions for me, and I never really answer any of them because I do feel like it's something I just don't pay attention to as much as I should. So when they ask me, I got people ask me, questions about just being with gentlemen in general, and I think it's time for them to have some information for me, because if I have knowledge, why not share it?
Do you share the
Obviously,
pros and cons?
Yeah, the pros and cons. Oh, of being poly. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not for everyone, and I think I used to be like, oh, everybody can do it, and I don't think that. I don't think everyone can do it. I also don't think everyone can do it my way. Now I know I said my way. I don't think a lot of people can be, or a lot of women in America, because I'll give other places they do fine. A lot of people in America can be polyandry or polyamorous very well, because there's just like a level of compersion, a level of openness that you have to have, and then they're just not taught that way. So you have to kind of start from the beginning. So I don't even know, like some of those women who are having more than one partner, like on 304s or whatever, that's a big question. It's like, well, if I'm 304, I'm like, a lot of them are 304s or they're lifestylers. They have no connection with anyone, and a lot of them just using men for the most part. So at that point, no, you're not poly. You're just a person trying to survive. You're a survivor. Which is concerning. So I mean, those things are not. If you're just trying to survive and you just handing out cookies to get your lights up paid, to make sure you have a car still, make sure you have a house. At that point, you're not poly. That's just you just surviving. And you're in a survival state. And then when you try to get a real relationship, you don't even know what to do because you've always been surviving. And then if anything goes bad or not the way you like it, you revert to the safe place, which is surviving. And that's when you say, oh, I don't care. I don't want anything to do with that person, or he's trash, because the only thing you know how to do is revert back to my safe place. Your safe place is being a natural place of being like, oh, forget it, then I'll do it myself. And it's not how it's supposed to be. So those things are, you got to think about those things. So a lot of girls out here just want to be 304s and run around. I don't need nobody. That mentality is going to leave you with not having nobody. That is this is going to leave you with having nobody, running around and being alone, and then one day looking up and then realizing you basically wasted your whole life being a prostitute.
Yeah,
That's what
I
it
mean it's
is.
either a pro or a certified street stroller,
I mean,
or
that's what it is.
it could be a panhandle. You know how people like in the street, right? Homeless people, they try to do like attractions like panhandling. Sometimes I don't even call them pros. I don't call them 304. I call them just panhandling. Like you're like the homeless people that do like the side movements and like dancing and
Yes,
robotics and stuff. And then then you got to be careful because you can't solicit. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of look at them
yes,
like that sometimes. It's like that's what you're doing. But then again, it's like it's a two-way street when it comes to I blame the simps and the suckers and the panders, and then
yes.
I at the same time it's a market. So no one is forcing or putting a gun to someone's head to give that cash app or that donation either.
That's true.
It's consensual. So now again, can some of these people be lying to their supporters and their quote unquote fans? Because to a certain point, I was talking to some other older gentleman the other day, and I said, well, he thought he was talking to somebody online, and he hasn't been with anybody in a while, and he's like, because he's widowed, his wife passed away years ago, but he's like, I thought I was talking to her, but he's like, yeah, but she literally calls you a fan. So she put you in the fan section, not even the friend zone. She put you as a fan. Like I said, I appreciate my fans for liking and commenting and talking to me and stuff. So I was like, she already put you in the fan. So she doesn't look at you like a serious suitor,
That's
and I
true.
have to be honest with them. So it's like, listen, you can either still like your videos and stuff like that, but understand there's nothing going to come from it. It's
Right.
just being honest with it. And it's like, just look for somebody in your age range and see if they hold your values or in what you want because he's an older gentleman. So he's like, he has that mentality, like still like,
Yes.
being with somebody.
These
Like
aren't
he
the
wants a
same. These
companion.
aren't the same ladies.
He's like, yeah, he wants a companion, but he also wants to be that intimate relationship as well.
Yes. Oh Lord. Yeah, you gotta be careful out here. Nowadays, you just don't know, especially when you don't know, these are different breed of women. These 20-year-olds are different. They're not the same. If you're 40 looking at a 20-year-old, I think that's as a if you're 40 looking at a 20-year-old as a serious companion. I don't know. That seems rough. I just being honest. That seems rough because they just brought up different. So it's like a lot different. It's not even our generations. It used to be like a couple generations back. You'd be like, oh, the women aren't that much different. The jump from 40 and 20 now with all of the technology that and it has changed the culture so much. The actual way we interact and date each other, all that it just jumped, just like technology jumped. It used to be what, like every 10 years something come out. Now it's like every year there's a new phone. Even those little things like that, changing, traveling, that changed everything. So when you've had that much change within a short period of time, I just think that you just really it's like you're talking to like an alien. Alien.
Like it's like a gift and a curse, right? Because we get so much information, we get something so processed too much into our heads, right? Because we as humans, right, we try to survive, we try to adapt, we try to condition, and we set ourselves up, especially like you brought it up in America, especially in westernized countries. Monogamy is one of the main things that's pushed, right? And I overall think that yes, for every one man there could be one woman if that's the lifestyle they choose to live, right? However, with the overinflation and marketing of sexualized content, of these dopamine levels of gratification, of this whole illusion of life and the robust and the thinking that everyone's going to be a winner at the end of the finish line. There's going to be winners and losers, unfortunately. There's going to be people who need to understand that, hey, just because Miss Polly is living a level of a lifestyle and maybe that's where she gets to her own final race and she finishes a race, doesn't mean it's going to be the same type of race that I have. I'm going to have a different race for my life. And when I get to that finish line, depends on what I'm going to be going for, what I'm going to be reaching for. It will likely maybe be different. But I think at the end of the day, people need to understand that whatever you set yourself up for, you need to make sure you know what you're doing, the intent you're doing it with, why you're doing it. And brace for impact.
Right.
Brace for impact, just in case.
Every story is not going to have the same ending. So
Not every story has a good ending.
then that's true too.
You know, but not every story is going to be horrible either. You know, so it's
Yeah.
like it's also being like faith and hope and optimism, but also understanding, hey, like don't be naive either. Like don't be
Yes.
naive.
Yes, it's very, very true. Very, very true. So yeah, I mean, well, I'll wrap this up here. Like I said, I didn't want to make it too long. But I appreciate you, Mark, for coming up here. You made your good stuff.
Yeah, because I know that I see you on panels and you see me in the chat, and sometimes you'll see me doing the comments, and I know you read them. Don't lie, because I know you do. But like I said, people can't help to read a comment and know that it might be hitting them or it might be hitting the point of the topic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But hey, this is the internet, and there has to be a level of entertainment, because I think most people are on here to get entertained, in my opinion.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it's also to unplug from their daily life to get on here and talk on social to other people. To other people, usually like it's business.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think the best thing for people, just when they're listening to this, set the ground rules, set your own foundation, but understand, like, hey, like going forward, what's your intent? Be honest, be real, and set a goals. What's your goal? What's your goals? Like, what do you want to do? What do you want everything out of this thing you call life for yourself? So, other than that, I just appreciate the letting me up and the topic. I know, Miss Polly, you do your thing. I see you on other channels and stuff like that.
I do. I'm always on somebody else's channel.
Oh, I know. Trust me. We tend to migrate like a lot. Like, I thought you were at some point. I thought you were like really Hispanic, because the moment like you hop over here, you hop over there. It's like I thought you were Mexican, like just going border to border. But yeah. But like I said, just support Mr. Best. Support Miss Polly. Hit the notification bell, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment, question, critiques, opinions. Yeah, because we're like penguins. We will migrate anywhere. You know what I'm saying? If we have to, just to survive.
Lord,
fly to the Concords. Yeah, man. Other than that, man, just hey, go. If I could do a little plug in real quick, support my boys over here at Jay Takashi and his Zatakashi Show new channel. It's me, Jay Takashi, and Wally. We talk about stuff like we don't talk about as much relationship stuff as other channels, because there's a whole bunch of channels now. Like, it's so saturated with everybody content. It's to the point where it's like, listen, what? I'll go and support you guys over here when you guys talk about this, but on that channel over there, we want to talk about like entertainment, like movies, reviews, like sports, and then sometimes cultural topics. Every now and then we'll probably do something like relationship, like you guys, but we don't always want to do that because everybody else is already doing a pretty good job of either entertaining or giving some good stuff, or even giving out toxic ass stuff. Miss Polly, sometimes you're guilty of the toxic stuff. But for the most part, I think you mean well. Yeah, well, no. But Jesus pray we name, amen. But but yeah, man, like, support Mr. Best, support Knowledge and Relationships, support wherever you see Miss Polly, and yeah, go make some eggs.
I appreciate that. Yes. So I think get some purpose.
Oh, hey, and I gotta see you on these Comic-Con panels, because I know you do cosplay and you go to these comic conventions for sure. But I don't see you do that enough. So it's like I'm calling you out right now. I'm putting you on accountability blast right now.
I am.
You know what I'm saying? So
I am.
I gotta see you on some of these channels. It's just restarted again.
No, what I mean, like, I just started, like, because I had, I was trying to lose some weight, so I want, because there's like, there's some characters I like to do, but I want to look a particular way. So I want to, kind of just start it like.
Well, some guys like, the waves hitting, you know what I'm saying? They like the splashes. They like the, cushion for the pushing. So you'll be all right. You'll for sure have some suitors over there, probably, for sure. Don't worry, you'll be good.
Okay, but, you send me those, please, sir, and I will. No,
I'm not sending you nothing. I'm not the middleman for it all. I'm not even getting compensated.
You're not gonna tell me where to go.
No, I'm saying no. The channels for sure. Yeah, you can cover the channel for sure. I am not doing the whole matchmaking though. The same 40-year-old person.
No, I want you to tell me the channel so I can go participate and be an active person.
Yeah, G Takashi channel. You know, I think he just hit like 12,000 subscribers or 11 or something like that. Shout out to him. Uh, and then like he tries to give us our credit, but we got to make sure we understand like Jay Takashi, he's the one that gave us a platform to be on his channel and
Okay.
let us, rock with them. So Jay Takashi and also his other new channel, which is Za Takashi Show. Even though he's, he's trying, it's like a Japanese type title, but it's still.
Okay.
I'll still put it in the private chat. So Za Takashi Show. But
Okay.
there's that one, and then there's his main one, Jay Takashi. So we'll try to do stuff like that on there. So we'll do anything like trending topics, like anything that could be in the news. It could be sports, movies, series. I know he does this thing with anime. I know you like some of that stuff too.
I
So
do like anime
yeah,
quite a bit.
and we'll talk about like different cultures too, like do like the different cultures topics, that type stuff, because we are a melting pot. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So so other than that, it's probably, and I got nothing else. So I appreciate you. And to be safe. And like I said, don't stray away from these like little comic, anime, whatever you like type panels either. We got to see you there.
I am. I don't want to stray away because that's what I really like. I love Japanese stuff. I went to school for it, so this is part of my DNA. We got to be part of that.
You know what they say about the Japanese anime fans. The ladies, they are freaks.
Wait a minute.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm playing. Have a good night, though. I appreciate you.
You too. I appreciate Ryan Cook coming. Thank you again, Marcus. And we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up. Final words is, I believe, still, women should allow men to have purpose in their relationships. Make space for the person that you'd like to be with, and make sure that they are able to complete you in some way, because being part of a team, having purpose, knowing why you're there, knowing why you're contributing is important. And we're not just talking about financially or just supporting someone in all things. We want to make sure that people are appreciated for the value that they bring into anything. And so this is important. And so thank you guys for taking the time. If you have any comments, please put them below. Like and share this video. Thank you again, Marcus, for coming up. Intellectual Soapbox. Is so helpful. Or hopeful, sorry about that. Thank you for coming and chatting with us. Anybody else? I am single. Thank you for hitting us up. Everybody for stopping by and showing some love and appreciation. Dead Pill, thank you also. Think I'm missing anyone else. Anyone else who came, if I didn't grab anybody else. I appreciate you guys for stopping by, and we will see you again on another show. So long. Bye.